really thinking about how in the world I was supposed to start this off. Okay. I tell people all the time, you live in the new heaven and new earth right now. All the prophecy in the Bible has entirely been fulfilled. All of Revelation is completed. You're reading a record of events that already happened. The biggest issue in the Bible, the reason why this is not recognized, is because of all the imagery language, the hyperbole, the figurative statements, the idioms, the parables. The Bible's loaded with poetic language, man. People don't recognize it, and especially as we go along, the events become larger and grander, and they become bigger events just because we don't interpret imagery language as such. But I want to take a step back from that and think about this a different way, okay? The futurist mindset has a 100% failure rate. So I was thinking the other day, it's 2017 now, so I was thinking about over the past several years, all the different events that have been considered to be prophetic. And one of my, I guess you could call it a beef, one of the beefs I kind of have with maybe Christianity in general, evangelical Christianity, Hebrew Israelites, who I consider to be a part of evangelical Christianity, just kind of a different sect, if you will, of it. My beef is that when these events don't come to pass, individuals don't re-examine how we came to these conclusions. And I don't understand how this is possible. In your regular life, if someone was telling you something that was wrong and they were wrong all the time, you would probably turn and look at that person and be like, how are you analyzing this information? And I feel like when it comes to prophetic events, when it comes to Bible stuff, Bible prophecy and all this, individuals don't do this. In fact, it's as if the memories of individuals are just don't remember. So here, let's go through a few of these just to show you what I mean. So CERN was the big one. Remember CERN? I think it's a hydrogen collider, the big thing out there in Europe. I think it's in Switzerland, right? The beliefs over this thing were that it was going to open a portal and that they were going to kick off. It was going to be opening the pit of the deep and releasing a bunch of demonic creatures that are discussed in Revelation. They're going to come through CERN. And this was supposed to happen on certain dates and certain places. Other people believe that CERN is responsible for the supposed global earthquake of Isaiah 24, who I tell people all the time, read that thing according to context. You'll see that global earthquake is happening in Jerusalem. Read it. It tells it to you. It says it very plain. The name Jerusalem and Judah is used multiple times as far as the locale of that global earthquake. So CERN is a good one. It's one of these prophetic events, one of these events that's taking place on the planet that people think is pertaining to end time prophecy. Take note, nothing has taken place regarding CERN. Nothing is going to happen regarding CERN. Whatever CERN is doing, I don't really know, but they're not opening up a portal for the creatures of the deep to emerge from Revelation. That's certainly not happening. I think that's been thoroughly destroyed. Shoot, I bet most people don't even remember that CERN was a thing, Here's a big one. Blood moons. Remember the blood moons? Man, I'm telling you, I told so many people about that blood moon thing not being true. And I thought for sure after the final date of the blood moons, I thought individuals would finally be wanting to know why things didn't happen. It's as if that event took place and instantly people were trying to find the next thing. They didn't even stop to analyze the fact that, hey, nothing happened. A lot of people thought stuff was happening. I told people, read the account for your dang self, man. The Bible does not describe a calendar where blood moons are happening on certain days before the return of the Messiah. That is called a fabrication of man. I think we can say that now, right? After that thing did not come to pass. That was one of my holdouts. My holdout was that individuals were going to see that event not happen and that they were going to want to know why it didn't happen. I was like, well, I can tell you why it didn't happen. It's because the event already happened in the past. This is the fabrication of man. So blood moons, that's two, right? False stuff. Total false prophecy. You know what I'm saying? What's another one here? September 23rd, 2015. That was attached to the blood moons to some degree or another. Again, past. Nothing took place. Not the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. I mean, no one calls these guys out for saying that these things are false prophecies. These people are false prophets, dude. Nobody calls these people out. I don't know how is How is this cool with everybody? You know, back in the day, in the Old Testament, the Old Covenant, they put false prophets to death. These people are prophesying false events, making people move all across the country, doing all kinds of stuff, getting people to believe all kinds of things that aren't even real. How is everybody cool with this? I don't know, man. I'm not cool with it for dang sure. Let's think of another one here. Shemitah, the Shemitah. I know people, dude, that they did not garden because they were practicing the Shemitah. I don't know how many times I read that account out of the Torah and showed that it says when you are in the land. It has nothing to do with America, man. I mean, it's a very, very frustrating situation because you realize that the delusion over individuals is so strong that otherwise reasonable people, even reasonable Bible people, are willing to put aside all rationale just to embrace very, very odd mindset. So there's another one, the Shemitah, Jonathan Cahn, the Harbinger, all this stuff. This guy's a false prophet, dude. You're buying all this guy's books, going to his speaking engagements, enriching this man. Well, he's living well off of you guys. I couldn't believe how many people believed in that thing. I know people personally believe in that thing very, very deeply. Let's see, what's some other ones that it came up? Oh, March 2013. According to 119 Ministries, was going to be the beginning of the tribulation. Nobody even seems to remember this. Remember Daniel Unsealed? You can't even find that thing anymore. That thing is not on the 119 website, I think, anymore, if I recall correctly. These guys said that the tribulation was going to start in March of 2013 because of the verse from, I think, Matthew chapter 24:20 that says, let your flight not be in the winter nor on the Sabbath day. All right. They looked at the calendar and they saw that there was a day. It was a Friday. It was the day before the Sabbath, which is on Saturday. And it was the first day of spring. It was the last day of winter. So they saw this as a code inside of Matthew 24, letting you know when the beginning of tribulation is. Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. I mean, who can believe something like this? This guy right here, this guy believes stuff like that. You know, I look back on these things with great embarrassment, you know, that I could be taken in such delusion. I don't want other people to get lost inside this delusion. So I try to tell people flat out and plain, I'm not lying to you. I'm not trying to deceive you or anything. The biblical events already took place. Jesus' coming already took place. This event is referring to a localized catastrophe that happened in Jerusalem back in 70 AD. Go look and see. If you go look at the history of what took place, then you'll see it's the fulfillment of the biblical prophecy. Every single New Testament author tells you they live in the last days and that the return of Jesus is imminent. But you think the return is happening today. I'll give you a last one. I was recently watching a prophecy conference online. Got all these different speakers coming up on stage and talking about how they live in the last days and all this kinds of stuff that I used to myself fervently believe. And I noticed there was a huge banner behind them. And this banner, I think it's Revelation 22:14, and it says, behold, I'm coming quickly. You got to consider what this means here. Here's a text that's 2,000 years old that says I'm coming quickly. And here we are believing that he is also coming quickly. You don't see the error in this way of thinking? After all these failed prophecies, and there's many, 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 many more, go look at the Great Disappointment of 1844. There's a lot of people that believed the end of time was coming in the past. Go look and see. After all these failed events, don't you think we should reevaluate the way that we look at prophecy? Yeah, I would say yes. But it seems to me that the religious tradition is that you live in the last days. So, you know, you really can't reevaluate the position without reexamining the entirety of the doctrine. And like I said before, everybody wants the growth. Everybody wants to grow in the knowledge of the grace of the Messiah, and they want to know the scriptures and understand the things better. But if you grow, you change. And people don't want to change. They just, you know, it's a paradox. So, yeah, some thoughts.